In the previous video in this series, we discussed the way in which the younger pre-politics version of Wallnow understood the Leviathan spirit. From the CD set's release until the present, Leviathan becomes an increasingly political spirit that becomes increasingly capable of speaking towards Wallnow's political audience. During this time, Wallnow makes use of Leviathan primarily as a means of encouraging inactivity in his audience, of reinforcing the political status quo. That is, by saying only God can do battle with Leviathan directly, spiritual warriors must thus recognize and ignore assaults from the spirit. However, these attacks are contextualized as any news that is negative of Trump or his administration. Thus, ignoring these assaults is the same as ignoring any news which is critical of the administration. In ignoring this material, the status quo is maintained. Trump is viewed as a divinely appointed ruler, anointed by God, who is working on behalf of the community of the spiritual warrior to right the American ship. For instance, in Media, Leviathan's Mouthpiece, Wallnow uses the Leviathan spirit to comment on the death of George Floyd. In the piece, Wallnow tries to lay out the facts of the case in such a way that the accusation of racism against Derek Chauvin seems incorrect. Claims that in the resulting protests, quote, city after city was set ablaze, beset by riots and severe disruptions, with the mainstream press describing them as mostly peaceful protests, and takes personal umbrage at the fact that he was recently accused of making the Nazi salute, a claim that he argues must be untrue due to Jewish ancestry on his father's side. While the media painted a picture of systemic racism and peaceful protest over nationwide unrest, Wallnow uses the Leviathan spirit to build a different picture. It was not systemic racism, but a single violent police officer who should have been previously censured. Likewise, the idea that the disruptions were significantly more violent and severe than the media was supposedly letting on implicitly highlights that the Trump administration's response of law and order was correct. It is Leviathan that is causing the media to produce, quote, a false, lying exploitation of facts to serve an agenda. The media is trying to, quote, promote the idea that Trump supporters and white people generally are committing hate crimes against gays, blacks, and Hispanics, end quote. Of course, this is the work of a demon, thus implying that none of this is true and that the Trump administration's response is a good one. The message is clear. Remain passive. Maintain the political status quo. This goal is likewise shared in a Facebook Live post entitled Jezebel and Leviathan, Fox News Under Attack. This seems to be a post that was in response to the scandals that were rocking the network in 2013. For example, the Seth Rich lawsuit, the boycotting of Laura Ingraham after the mocking of David Hogg, as well as the sexual indiscretions of Roger Ailes and Bella O'Reilly from the previous 2 years. Though rambling and difficult to follow at times, Wallnow blames the tandem efforts of the Jezebel spirit and the Leviathan spirit for what is happening at Fox. In the video, Wallnow states that Leviathan seeks to, quote, dismember the credibility of ideas, end quote. This idea then appears to be attached to the notion that other media figures, Wallnow, for instance, names Bill Maher and alludes to a CNN correspondent, have, quote, no facts on anything, end quote. He then claims the Jezebel spirit is behind the accusations of sexual indiscretion. Presumably, since it is working in tandem with Leviathan, Wallnow is suggesting that these accusations are baseless, a reading that seems substantiated because he later tells the audience that some of the accusers are, quote,
and some of them are just absolutely fallacious. It's kind of like the 13 women that were trying to come out against Trump.
He then prays against further incursions by both spirits and for the, quote, great wealth transfer, end quote, an idea in C. Peter Wagner's Dominionist theology, and that, quote, mighty voices, end quote, will rise up to the top of campuses and the media arts entertainment mountain. Once more, Leviathan is a spirit of the status quo. As arguably the most mainstream of staunchly conservative news sources, it is necessary for Fox News to maintain an aura of credibility for Wallnow's viewers. This scandal-ridden time threatens that. But remember, it's only Leviathan's activity. There actually are no scandals. These are simply the attacks of a powerful spirit. Likewise, there is no sexual scandal with Trump either. This is simply spiritual warfare occurring on the political and media mountains. Stay the course, remain passive. Soon God will correct these imbalances. In the next video, we'll look at how the political and the personal combine in the figure of Leviathan, particularly through an idea that Sean McLeod advanced in his work called the Gothic therapeutic.